And now we see. Did I go live? I might have gone. If I'm currently live, hello. Pretend you don't see me. We're going to find out. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Oh, chat. There we are. Well, we very much are live. Hi, chat. Good to see you. I'm trying a new way of streaming. This was supposed to be scheduled, but I guess it's not. Pretend you don't see me. We're gonna do the what do you call it? Intro. The uninvisible man. Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. And we've got a new show theme. It's still Bass Buzzer, but now with the guitar accompaniment by Mr. Donald James. I really appreciate that, Donald. Thank you so much. It's the vibe I want. I didn't realize that's what I wanted till I heard it. Now I know that's what I wanted. Love it. Love it. Wireless mic, that was Donald James adding a bit of guitar cover to Bass Buzzer, the normal intro. I think for the sake of clarity, I'm going to be normally doing the old school intro with the outro by Donald James. Boy, got something in the mail today. I want to show it off. I want to brag a little bit. Hey, who's this? I know that rascal. That's Pixel Jake, famously the host of Wicked Fight Night. That was sent by Pinkerbell. Pink, thank you so much. Hey, who's this? That's Andrea, our pal from what's that one show that I'm a fan of? Left Past 10. And above it all, with Andrea Rovinsky. Thank you so much for these. You might be wondering, where are Matt and Sandy's? Don't need them. Got the two prettiest right here, baby. Seriously, Pig, thank you so much. That was rad to receive in the mail. I've been giggling all day and looking at those. They're gonna be on my desk, basically from now on. They're one of the few permanent items for the desk. That. The ridiculous knife, the ever-present bottle of booze, just the essentials. Wicked Foxy Dragon, where do I get one? I don't know, but I do know I'm going to start selling sweet, sweet merchandise. Speaking of, I've been musing as I've been dealing with various inconveniences, let's say, over the last months. And really thinking about the point we're at with this channel. Truth be told, I wasn't expecting to get monetized as quickly as we did, and I was delighted by that. But I didn't really have a plan for the in between. As far as I sees it, there's like this gap between when you can actually start making money and when you make an amount of like money with your channel that is serious. Like can't be undone by just saying, "Oh, F it, I'll pull $50 out of whatever and refund everything for the night." I don't want to be reliant on super chats. Currently, I am very much reliant on super chats and coffee donations and memberships. So if you'd like to support the channel as it is, then sign up for the channel memberships. We're going to talk more about that in a second. Sign up for coffee. That's KOFI. I should probably have the link ready in every one of these. I'll start adding that in the description. But there's growth channel. We talk about things on this channel that I don't want to be thinking about whether or not it's going to affect the bills when we're talking about it. And I also don't want to even create the appearance of influence from capital. Point being, we're going to sell tchotchkes. I'm going to do things like the cartoons you all have seen. I'm going to start playing those like in a marathon once a week and opening up donations for that. And I'm going to start selling random merchandise. If you like coffee mugs, if you like pens and whatnot, if you like shirts with in-jokes on them, that's the kind of stuff we're going to do. Because the one thing I like about the way a lot of other internet shows seem to function is that there is, for some of them, there is a clear distinction between what is important and what is being done for the purposes of making money. And God help me, I do not want to Raid Shadow Legends ad on here. So, there it is. Wicked merchandise, hopefully coming soon. I did find out, I did find a distributor which I like the service. I think I know which one we're going to go with. I think that's how we're going to do it. Onward to memberships. I want there to be a point for it. If you're supporting the channel monetarily at this stage in particular, I want there to be a thing that is given to you for that. Here it is. It's the link to the Discord. Because our Discord is going to... I'm going to kill two birds with one stone, essentially, here. Our Discord is going to be a way that we can have a tight group of people that want to influence the show, that want to contact me in a pretty free-flow manner, because email is... Whatever's wrong with my brain, it makes it difficult to respond in an organized manner to email. But for some reason, Discord's fine. So Discord's the way it's going to go. If you're a channel member, then the most recent post you will have seen, links to the Discord, tells you all the stuff that we're going to do there. So if you're a channel member, thank you very much for being so. And check out the Discord. Free to make an account, and you can simply drop your suggestions for how you want the show to go, as well as correct your old pal Jake. Speaking of, the last proper WYCD stream that I did, I didn't like it. I told you all something that, or maybe it was one before. I told you all in a rather performative manner, I thought, is just like shut out Republicans. That's a silly thing. That's silly. So that's what this stream is all about. What should we actually do? How should we actually be talking with Republicans? How should we actually be addressing these people? What in the makes them tick? We have an obligation to try. We have an obligation to reach out a hand to our brothers and sisters and try. Make peace. We also, I think, have an obligation to those that that we are trying to protect. to not count on them, to not count on winning over Republicans. Right now, the people who are taking the serious issues of the country seriously have the numbers. And if we work in unison, we can fix this with just the numbers we have. But even though that's the case, even though I feel that is the case, we still have a moral obligation, my humble opinion, to attempt to convert, pull people out of the madness that has swallowed up their lives. So that is going to be what this WYCD is about. But first, let's read some comments. Jess Rush, good to see you. Wireless Mike, hello. Pink's not here yet. Oh, say Levy. I'll definitely. I thanked her on Discord, and I'll thank her again. But I tell you, I love these things. I love them so much. Robbie Sauls, are my super chats not going through? Well, let's find out. Let's find out if the chats are going through. Who's live? The ice cold lefties are live. Correct, your super chats are not going through. But say la vie, say whatever you wanted to say, yeah, and I'll have a gander. Anti-corporatist, I don't see anything, Robbie. Yep. Do we have to talk to them? Says Wicked Foxy Dragon. I think no. I don't think we have to. I don't think any one of us individually does, but I do think collectively we have an obligation to be ready to talk and have serious conversations if the opportunity presents itself. Let me put it like this. I don't think we have to seek out the opportunity. But if we find ourselves in it, I think just like every Marine is a rifleman, every lefty should be a preacher as well. Every lefty should have a pitch for why the policy and the candidates we are supporting is good for anybody that we're talking to. Elaine Sharp, Super Soakers at 80 feet. That is a way you could deal with Republicans. I do like that. I do want to bring back dueling as well. Not to the death. We've civilized since then. But I like the idea of Super Soakers at 80 feet. That's fantastic. Jess Rush, good to see you. Oh, mercy me. All right, let's jump to it, y'all. Oh, I didn't load up the articles. Good. We are I started a full 20 minutes before I intended to because I hit go live instead of whatever I was supposed to hit. So now there's going to be some mild awkwardness, but I think that's part of the charm. Let me try that again. I hope that's part of the charm because it ain't going away. Oh, mercy. Yeah, right. Oh, terrible. Oh, terrible. What makes Republicans tick? That is the thing I have been agonizing over some time. The reality is, recently I fell for the very thing that I have advised all of you repeatedly not to fall for, which frankly I think is the thing that keeps the rich weighing us down, keeps the rich on top while everybody else has to make do with the scraps they allow us to have. And that is to mistake the arguments that Republicans make for being misinformed. That's really not what's going on. An understanding of Republicans cannot be reached by looking at the facts they say they believe in, or by trying to correct the individual facts they say they believe in, because Republicans don't believe in what they say they believe in. Allow me to demonstrate. This article was in Politico by, who is it? Michael Cruz. Our system needs to be broken, and he is the man to do it. Ted Johnson sincerely thought he wanted a uniter, not a divider. It didn't last long. No, he didn't. First sentence, Ted Johnson sincerely thought, no, he didn't. He told you that, interviewer. He told you that he sincerely felt this way or that. Getting to the point here. Bedford, New Hampshire. This, Ted Johnson told me, is what I hope. We were here the other day at a bar not far from his house. We were talking about Donald Trump and the possibility he could be the president again by this time next year. He breaks the system, Ted Johnson said. He exposes the deep state, and it's going to be a miserable 4 years for everybody. For everybody? I said. Everybody. For you? I think his policies are going to be good, Ted Johnson said, but it's going to be hard to watch this happen to our country. He's going to pull it apart. So pause right there. What Republican politicians are great at doing that Democrat politicians, or more importantly, progressive politicians, need to get better at doing, is preparing their voters for what something will look and feel like. They lie about what it is, but they prepare them for what it will look and feel like. They're planning a dictatorial takeover. They're planning on making a fascist government. It's just, I know it sounds like lefty ranting. That's the reality. Project 2025 is a gutting of the government and a replacing of all of its important parts with stooges. And that will be miserable. And people like Ted Johnson will think, good, it's happening. I know I'm suffering, but this is a necessary suffering. It's like if a serial killer with a medical degree had a doctor's office, and they loaded up a syringe full of bleach, and they said, you're going to feel a slight pinch when I inject this penicillin into your arm. They've prepared you for what it will feel like when the bleach gets injected into your veins. They've just lied to you about what is actually happening. That is the Republican way. We need to get better about preparing people for what our policies are going to look and feel like, with the key difference being we're actually injecting penicillin. We're not injecting bleach. We are actually helping. For example, Medicare for all. We should be clear about what that will look and feel like. It will look and feel like a larger tax bill, even for the common person at the end of the year. I think what was estimated? We did Medicare for all, you'd pay $500 more in taxes each. Sounds like a ton. It is on average, but it is less. It is less by a country mile than you are currently paying for health insurance annually. That is what we need to prepare people. The notion that somebody might wish for the country's dismantling would have sounded shocking coming from anybody, but it was especially jarring coming from Johnson. Because I was at a Nikki Haley town hall at the VFW in nearby Merrimack in the first week of September when Johnson stood up and asked her a question. He introduced himself as an independent voter, really, and a retired soldier, and it felt like he probably is, and it felt like the nation was in a civil war. Yeah, that if you're at a Nikki Haley town hall, you're causing the civil war. In a civil war, and that some of his neighbors would hate him if he so much as put up a sign for her in his yard. On his mind, too, was his estrangement from his older brother, a rift the former president had done nothing but widen. He wanted to hear Haley's plan to pull us all back together. Haley, at the moment, was beginning to become the top non-Trump pick in the Republican primary process, slowly, steadily replacing Governor Ron DeSantis. She pitched conservative policies with a more moderate mien, a split-the-difference escape hatch for MAGA movables to not have to outright denounce Trump, but still turn the page. Understand that. Understand that. Why would you not support Trump and not denounce him? There's a reason, but can you think of it? It would be because you don't really understand what was wrong with him. It's because you think he won't accomplish X or Y or Z for you, but you don't think he necessarily did anything. That's a problem. That's a lack of information. Get into that in a second. He pitched conservative policies with blah, 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 and Ted Johnson was listening. So Johnson's journey from that VFW hall last fall to how he says he's set to vote this week, a 4.5-month turnabout from literally wanting to pull us back together to literally wanting to pull it apart, offers an instructive an insight as I've yet encountered into how on earth we are where we are. Trump could be just a disgraced ex-president facing time in prison. Instead, at least for now, he is a durably dominant political force, credibly eyeing a return to the White House. Let's dwell on that. He said, at least broadly speaking, he wanted a candidate to pull us back together. Now he's saying he wants a candidate to pull us apart. Does it sound like this person has a clear set of policies in mind? Does it sound like this person has an idea for what would make the country a better place? Does it sound like this person has even a simple understanding of what is going on? I don't think so. He's a wrecking ball, Johnson told me here at the place he chose called the Copper Door. Everybody's going to say Trump is divisive, he said, and he's going to split the country in half. He looked at me. We got it, he said. It's what the Ted Johnsons want. He's 58, he's married to his second wife and has 3 young adult sons. He was in the Army for 22 years, swore an oath to the Constitution. In the Army for 22 years. He retired as lieutenant colonel, good Lord, and now he is a senior project manager for an IT security company and works from home. He lives in a classic 3-bedroom house he bought almost 4 years ago for $485,000. It's now worth roughly $250,000 more. He's originally from Centralia, Illinois. Centralia, fun fact, is constantly on fire. Look it up. A town like too many towns in the more rural interior of the country that isn't what it was. As in, it didn't used to be on fire, and it's currently and permanently on fire. Look it up. He was born in a hospital that no longer delivers babies. His father's gallbladder several years back broke during a snowstorm, so he couldn't be airlifted to the closest suitable medical facility in St. Louis. So we just watched him die, he said. Before he voted, Jesus, I'm sorry that happened. Before he voted for Trump twice, he told me, he voted for Barack Obama twice. Drink that in, folks. By September of 2023, though, he was thinking he was ready for someone else, and so he went to the event for Haley. Consider who this person is. This, in my mind, is the average voter. No, not every Trump voter also voted for Obama even once. But this is the mindset. This is what we're dealing with. This is what frustrates me personally so much. This is it right here. What is going on? How do you vote for Obama and then vote for Trump ever? If you don't pay attention to the facts, but you do think that politics affects your life, you're going on vibes. That's who the Trump voters are. They're the vibe check crowd. They like people who have notions, not facts. They like people who come off a certain way. What was Obama all about broadly? If you had to sum up what he was all about, you could with one word that he provided: change. Then Trump, an agent of change. We should be concerned that for these people, the change is the specifics of the change. It doesn't matter. Just that things change. This guy lives in the suburbs. He's isolated from the general population. He is saying he wants the candidates to do contradictory things. He is not loyal to any particular party. That's good to know. Good to know. When we sway a person like this, we will not do so by saying, well, look at this big chart. We will not do so by rattling off a long list of facts. At least not at first. You can impress them. If once you guys are having a pleasant conversation, if you think it will help your case to impress, you can impress them by having the facts on hand. But that's not what this is about. That's not what this decision comes down to for this person. The decision for this person comes down to what they think broadly about the candidate. Bill Clinton had a chance to win this person over. Equally, Ronald Reagan would. George H.W. Bush would not. Carter would not. This is the person who American politics were built around. This is why our politicians are seen as these fake, plastic, essentially mannequins. This is the sort of person who has caused most of the problems they're desperate to see solved. And we're going to have to get over that and pitch to them anyway. We need to do the work of a advertising agency for the progressive movement. We need to make it extraordinarily populist. We need to get comfortable using populist talking points and phrasing and yada, yada, yada. And we need to align the vibe of the progressive movement with every kind of American. A guy that retired from the Army after 22 years, a lieutenant colonel, should have a version of progressive politics that lines up with them. Suit and tie crowd, the punk rock crowd, the D&D crowd, the electric guitar crowd, whatever. It's politics for everybody. It's policies for everybody to benefit everybody. It shouldn't be difficult for us, but it has been something that progressives have frankly ignored. We have a tendency to do exactly what I did last week, to get angry at people for choosing to ignore the facts without asking why they're ignoring the facts. I'll tell you why, because they don't understand them. Because you tell them what the facts are, and they believe. They don't hear what you're saying. You say, for example, Trump got rid of regulations that kept the Norfolk Southern that caused the Norfolk Southern train crash in East Palestine. And that will sound very clever to them. And they might even agree with you in the moment, but they will, in their minds, think somebody else is going to say the opposite, and it's going to sound just as clever to me. And I won't know which one is true. And I don't know how to find out which one is true, and I'm too tired to find out which one is true. And so I'll go with the one that broadly lines up with my culture, and that's that. And I will find ways to phrase that I'm supporting this or that passionately in polite company, but I won't understand any of it, and I don't need to, and I don't believe anybody else understands any of it either, and I still believe they're all lying to me. But this thing that I'm supporting aligns with my culture. Introduce their culture to our politics. That's what I'm saying. Her answer was long. He's talking about Haley here. Jump back up. September 2023, though, he was thinking he was ready for someone else, and so he went there for Haley. Her answer was long, too long. You have to be able to make the divisions, Haley said at one point over the course of nearly 10 minutes, and get people to see the best of themselves go forward. The reaction in the room was mixed, but Johnson liked it. He had given her a few small donations before the town hall, according to FEC records, and he gave a few more after the town hall, adding up last year to $120.90. Not a mint, but a show of support. For Johnson, Trump had shifted from being the rebel to being a rebel without a cause, he told me then. But Haley, he called her a leader. He called her more than qualified. He was behind her, he said. I'm looking for somebody that can bring us together and move us forward, he said. If we redo everything in the past, the country is going to stay in the past, and it's going to stay divided. It was his hope, he said, and she gets more, he said that she gets more momentum. Listen to this. He wasn't saying that in the bar during the interview that this article is written around. He was saying that after he spoke at the Nikki Haley town hall. He was just coming up with reasons that sounded right. That's all he was doing. This writer, Michael Cruz, missed it. He doesn't understand who he's talking to. He's trying to, and he wrote a great article. Click on it. Give the man a pat on the back from his editor, who will see a boost in the article views. But he missed it. He gives this guy too much credit. And I'm not trying to laugh at this guy or kick him when he's living down. It's just an assessment. Oh, good. Box of bullets next to the cross. Yeah. This guy. He's shooting randomly. We really need to focus on this. We cannot do anything else until we understand this element of it. He didn't support Haley for any of those reasons. Those might have even been the things he told himself, but the fact is he's fickle. And he has no idea what any of these people are talking about. Doesn't mean he's evil. He might be. I don't know the man. But it's not a sign of that. It's a sign that he is trying to make sense out of a system that is intentionally vague. Billionaires don't wind up being billionaires when they ought to be millionaires at best. Elon Musk doesn't wind up owning Twitter instead of being an assistant manager of an Arby's. He couldn't do that. That's a tough job. Instead of I don't know, being an entry level whatever unless the system is confusing and vague and weighted against people who are worth a damn. In retrospect, though, some of what he said during our couple of conversations in the aftermath of that town hall should have been a warning. do your own reading and you do your own research and you're like, what the hell's happened to this country? He told me about one of his last conversations with his brother Fred, very much anti-Trump. He goes, well, what do you think about January 6th? And I said, I thought it was Patriots Day. Pay attention to this. He thought it was Patriots Day. We talked about polling. Trump's going to win, man, he told me. I've been watching the news tonight, and I was like, holy shit, he's 10 points ahead of Biden. Patriots Day. So just don't imagine this. January 6th. He says, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. January 6th, he's for it. We're going to get back to that in a moment. So I wasn't totally surprised by the text I got earlier this month, but it was still kind of remarkable. Going with Trump, Johnson told me. He referred to Haley as a flip-flop rhino. He said she speaks to one side and then to the other and thinks we're not paying attention. You know what? I'm going to go back up. Our system needs to be broken. Oh, wait, excuse me. Republicans were just as crappy as Democrats, and Trump, he said, is really the new third party. In that sentence, watch his understanding of the situation be revealed. He doesn't like Haley because she's a flip-flop rhino. So she's a Republican in name only. She's not a real Republican. Then he says, Republicans are just as crappy as Democrats. Well, if they're just as crappy, how is she a fake Republican? Trump, he says, is really the new third party. Okay. So Trump, he's literally saying, is a rhino. He is Republican in name only. Trump, by his definition up there, should be disqualified from consideration because he is a Republican in name only if he's really the new third party. But at the same time, Republicans and Democrats are just as crappy as each other? In other words, it was nonsense. He doesn't think Haley is a rhino. He's not clear on what that means. He's just repeating things he's heard other people say to get through that question. He's excited by the attention from a reporter. He has no understanding of any of this, but he is deeply involved. Our system needs to be broken. Again, he says it needs to be broken. He does not understand the system. Johnson had concluded. He is the man to do it. What happened? I asked him now at the copper door. You know what happened? He said, I got pissed. The rift with his brother remains. Ted and Fred Johnson don't talk. I understand that. But Ted and I talked for more than 3 hours. The more he watched Haley, the less he liked her. She was too scripted, he said. Now this is real. This is useful. Vibes. That's it. Vibes. She was too scripted. She was weak on the border, he said. She was a corporatist, he said. Interesting. She was all in on Ukraine. He has no idea what's happening in Ukraine, why it's happening. He has no idea the historical relevance. He has no idea the deal we made with Ukraine in the 90s to protect them in exchange for them getting rid of their nukes, which they did. He has no sense of any of that. I promise you this. He said, echoing knowingly, he said she was all in on Ukraine, echoing knowingly or not some of Trump's attacks. Chris Sununu, the governor here, endorsed her. That was a negative, Johnson said. He's an elitist. He liked the way Haley talked about abortion. She threaded the needle, and she did a very good job on that. But he came to not like her tone in her tussles with DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy during debates, a forum many felt she excelled in and credited for fueling her rise. She should have took some higher ground when she started sparring with Vivek. Johnson told me she came off worse because he doesn't know any better. Question: Would Trump have acted the way he says he wants the candidate of his choice to act? He should have took some higher ground. Would Trump ever take the higher ground? No. In other words, yet again, this person is just lying. They're lying to the person who's interviewing them. It happens all the time. People lie to their doctors. People lie to their lawyers. They lie because they have a sense of how competent a person should be, and they are embarrassed they are not that. It happens constantly. We need, you and me, we need to understand that that is what is happening on a mass scale. Can't say the lump's always been there. Can't trust their word when they say the lump's always been there, because it sure looks like cancer, and we're sure going to take a biopsy. You know what made a big difference? A lot of the ads that he saw mainly on Fox News, he said. Particularly successful on Johnson was an ad from a pro-Trump super PAC that had Haley saying that illegal aliens were not illegal, he told me. I'm a black and white guy. You break the law, you break the law, he said. If I go out there and break the law, ain't nobody going to help Ted Johnson. I'm going to jail. First of all, Ted Johnson is a white man. Ted Johnson is conservative, and Ted Johnson is former military. Ted Johnson will get every possible break you can get in the United States of America, unless you are rich. For a non-rich person, he's going to get every possible break you can get. I think deep down he knows that. But what is he really saying here? He's really saying, I don't care for brown people. Sorry. That's all he seems to know about illegal aliens. They are the scapegoat, and I will be treated worse than another kind of American if I do something wrong. He's misplacing the treatment that the rich get onto brown people. That's what's happening. That is the Republican, that is this guy's whole life worth of Republican propaganda working. Within that sentence, he mentions illegal aliens, and he mentions that he won't be treated the same as certain other people if he breaks the law. But we know, as in you can look at court records, you can look at the conviction rate. We know if you're wealthy, you have a much easier time in the courts. Much less likely to convict a wealthy person of anything. Murdering their wife, murdering their kids, stealing, anything. Vandalism. RAPE. Affluenza, you remember that? Anything. If you're rich, you get all the breaks. That's the reality. But who is he told gets all the breaks? Legal aliens. The Browns. Oh. Johnson started talking about Russiagate and Biden scandals and Hunter Biden. What, I wonder, did Hunter Biden have to do with Nikki Haley? She's not going to hold anybody accountable for what they've done, Johnson told me. People need to be held accountable. That's why you've got to break the system to fix the system. Because it's a zero-sum game. Do you think this guy has any idea what the phrase zero-sum game means? If you hear somebody use that phrase, if they say something is a zero-sum game, ask them what it means. I'll tell you, I'm not entirely sure myself. I just know I hear people say it with a great deal of confidence, and they never explain what they mean. I think it's one of those phrases that people just use to fill time. And to be honest with you, the Democrats are genius. No, they're not. They did anything they could to win and gain power, and even if they lie, cheat, steal, they don't do those things. Those things would take courage. What they're doing is they're destroying the country. Who could bring it back? He answered his own question. Trump's the only one. Nikki said it. She said it. We're moving on. Forget the past and what she called chaos. Trump's the chaos creator. But I don't see her holding any of this accountable. I see her getting back in line, being a party swamp creature, continuing business as usual, but not holding all this mess that I see accountable. And I think a lot of people think like that. A lot of people do think like that. Not so long ago, though, Ted Johnson wasn't one of them. What happened? I asked again. They started prosecuting Trump for a bunch of crap. And I'll be honest, I started feeling for the guy. I says, holy shit, what are they doing to this guy? Can you help me understand why the legal actions against President Trump have bothered you so much? January 6th, he said. January 6th was staged by the Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi. January 6th was staged? Go back up to earlier in the article. He goes, well, what do you think about January 6th? His brother asks him. And I said, I thought it was Patriots' Day. Patriots' Day. Very for January 6th. Down here, staged. Democrats staged it, though. So the things that were bad, when in the course of the conversation, January 6th is a shameful thing. It's staged. But when it's being talked about broadly, and we haven't yet talked about the dead cops or the dead Trump supporters or the attempted overthrow of democracy, then it's Patriots' Day. In other words, again, this guy isn't playing in the realm of facts, and we need to beat them in every possible field of battle. And just because this guy is pretending to care about a certain set of facts doesn't mean we should ignore the things he does care about. It just means we have to do the extra work of prying out of him what he does care about. Did you always think that? The reporter asks. Cruz asks. At first, I thought it was bad, he said, until time came on and I'm starting to watch. What are you starting to watch? The hearings. The actual hearings, I said, convinced you that it was very terrible, that it was a setup, said, and they cherry-picked what they wanted to show. They cherry-picked what Trump actually said. I put it to you that he did not watch the hearings. I put it to you that he watched Fox's coverage of the hearings. Fox News, which lost a $1 billion lawsuit to Dominion Voting Systems because they lied, Fox did, about the election. I think he watched Fox's coverage of the hearings and not the actual hearing. They cherry-picked what they wanted to show. Where do you come up with that opinion? Fox News. They showed everything in excruciating detail. Oh, God, a Bergen poster. And Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, the part of the Constitution that prohibits people who tried to overthrow the government from running for office. He didn't do that, Johnson said. There was no insurrection, he said. Go over there peacefully and protest. And so for a guy like me, I'm looking and I'm saying, why is everybody so hell-bent on getting Trump in jail or getting him not to win? The insurrection is the answer to that. What's your answer to that question? I asked. They're afraid as hell because this time around he's going to take the DOJ and he's going to take the bureaucracy of the FBI, the CIA, all the stupid intel agencies that don't do shit, and he's going to upset the apple cart. What does upset the apple cart mean, do you reckon? Because I think what he's going to do is put puppets in there. He's going to make the leadership a bunch of subservient, yes, let's be honest, men. And they will no longer exist. They will no longer have the ability to do anything except go after Trump's enemies. I referred to the argument Trump is now making over and over, that he's going to go after them because he says they're going after him. But really, they're going after you, his supporters. That's exactly the way I feel, Johnson said. Did you feel like that before he said that, I said? Or did he say that and then you said yes? He said that and I said yes. He said, this guy wasn't concerned about the FBI going after him. Until, when the FBI was going after Trump, Trump said, the FBI is going to come after you. Better get him. hey guys, just so you know, the Michigan tax collectors are going to come after you guys. So you should give me money to fight them. And trust me, the guy's a pig. He's a womanizer, arrogant, Johnson said of Trump. But I need somebody that's going to go in and lead, and I need somebody that's going to take care of the average guy. Whenever has Trump... But taking care of the average guy and breaking... is taking care of the average guy and breaking the system the same thing? I said, yes, he said. Because they're all in it for themselves. And if you break the system, what does that look like? Accountability. He said, that's a non-answer. You break the system, what does that look like? Accountability. Let me answer this another way. You break the system, what does that look like? Justice. You break the system, what does that look like? Freedom. You break the system, what does that look like? Taste. You break the system, what does that look like? Blue. You break the system, what does that look like? Berry. Nonsense. Accountability. What does accountability look like? What are you talking about? Break the system, what does that look like? Here's an actual answer. Reducing the size of the FBI, cutting its budget in half, changing the rules by which the FBI is allowed to investigate, blah, 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 blah. If you had an actual sense of what that would look like, what breaking the system would look like, you would have an answer. The guy doesn't have any sense of that. All we are seeing here over and over and over again is that this guy has no idea what he is talking about. This guy has no idea what is going on around him. And he understands only that a lot of people are really riled up. He only understands that people from certain cultures here and there, I'm not being coy. I mean, just vaguely, people from different ends of America are angry at each other. And he's picking the side that he vibes with the best. Gang, we got to get really good at that vibe check. We have to be the opposite of the way I have been for the last 6 months, which is just a furious little... We have, if we're going to rescue folks like this, if we're going to restore some semblance of the Thanksgiving dinner table, we are going to have to get better at the vibes. We're progressives. We should be the best at vibes. Let's keep improving. I also asked about the 4 criminal indictments against Trump, the attempts to hold him accountable. The federal election interference case in Washington, I don't see it. There was no insurrection. The porn star hush money case in New York, totally ridiculous. The sweeping election interference case in Georgia, jury's still out on what's going on there. Interesting. And the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case in Florida, that's the one that gives Johnson a modicum of pause. You don't f around with classified material. The one thing this guy would actually know something about. I'm not trying to dunk on him for not knowing on these things. I am trying to dunk on him for pretending like he knows about these things. That is shameful. That we should discourage in other folks. I am a big proponent of being open about your ignorance. Lord knows I am open about my own. My ignorance is vast. I have an ocean of ignorance. It's fine. Just don't mislead people about it. I'm not dunking on him for the ignorance. I am dunking on him for pretending like he's very well informed when he's not. But this, he knows something about. This guy was in the military for 22 years. The documents case, you don't fuck around with classified material. Good. Whoever advised him he could have done that, he should have gave that up, he said. But he was being the stubborn, arrogant person that he is. And he added, I didn't like the way the FBI did it. The raid was ridiculous, and that just emboldened me. I don't care if this guy gets emboldened. Let me tell you, if the FBI had kept up with the kid gloves, If the FBI had simply never gone and taken the documents back and just accused him of taking the documents, right there in that bar, this guy would be saying, they're making it up. They're lying. Because he's being rather childish about this, frankly. It was good that they did what they did. I don't care if it emboldens him. Emboldens him to what? We're dealing with facts now. He had the documents. When faced with those facts, what does he say? Should have gave that up. Yes, correct. He should have. He understands the seriousness of that. He still tries to put it on whoever advised him, but he acknowledges that Trump had a responsibility. He should have gave that up. Yes, he should have. What if that went to trial and he was convicted, I asked. Should he still be electable? What's the law say? He said. Interesting. Don't do that, I said. That's what the law says. Accountability is accountability. But they're throwing so much stuff at this guy, and it's almost like I'm rooting for him, he told me. This is a whole system of government going after one man who probably, I bet right now, 85 million people want to be president. He dodged the question. Accountability is accountability. In other words, he doesn't know what the letter of the law says. He acknowledges that up there. This person doesn't clearly answer it for him because they probably themselves aren't entirely clear, and they're just trying to find out what his opinion on this is, regardless of what the law says, regardless of what somebody else told him was right, what he thinks is right. And when cornered, he says, well, accountability is accountability. But accountability is accountability, I said. Accountability is accountability, he said. Whether it's Hunter Biden or Donald Trump, I said. But do I trust the system, he said, dodging the question. I don't. You're a veteran, I told him. You are somebody who doesn't trust the system that in the broadest sense you served. I have no trust, he said. The system you served, that's right. I swore an oath, he said. I believed in that oath. When did you stop believing? I asked Ted Johnson. About when Trump became president. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Why am I in studio mode? Why have I done this thing? Oh, I messed it up bad. I messed it up real bad. Ha ha! Lordy Lou. There we go. Popping that out. All right. Let's have a look at what the Wicked community has said. That was much longer than I intended, and I apologize. The anti-corporatists. How crazy is it that Jacob Chansley has already been out for 6 months? It is wild. Especially because he's right back on his shtick. Jacob Chansley is currently spreading conspiracy theories. He's being willfully ignorant. He's trying to convince other people to be willfully ignorant. He's trying to scam the very people he was, frankly. He's trying to create another January 6th. In other words, he's demonstrating that he has learned nothing. Nothing at all. He needed to have spent more time in prison. He probably should still be in prison. I think Chansley, based on his behavior, he should have spent several more years in prison. He should still have a good 3 or 4 years ahead of him. Now, anti-corporatists saying hello to Styx, Dragon, Karen. Hello to you. Oh, let me jump down here. Ixabia, good to see you, my friend. Add mess up real bad to the bingo card. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, that's almost the free space, you know? Tinkerbell, that dude got all the prison clout. Agreed. Agreed. As the PGA kicked him to the curb, Groove Dragon says, as the PGA kicked him to the curb and the Live Golf Tournament inaugural season, I missed the context. Well, Mr. Saxokeet, hello there. Appreciate you. Hope you're well, Wicked. I am. What I was trying to do before I accidentally started the stream early was clip out the clip of Morty saying, I think I got a scurvy coming on because I am diseased and slowly recovering. But I am recovering, thankfully. Oh my word. Wicked Foxy Dragon member for 9 months. 9 months. I need a new badge. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That will be on my very next thing to do list. 9 months. Well done, my friend. Groove Dragon. I read that already. Jumping back up. Well, Sandy. Environmental Coffee House. Oh, you can fix it. Yes, indeed. All right, gang. I got one more. Even though that was a mildly disastrous end to that, here's what I wanted to say. When we are talking to people like this, the whole point of that article, long-winded though your old pal was for it, is to understand that the people we are going to be attempting to sway, the people who we are dealing with, don't care about facts at all. So, on an individual basis, the goal when you're talking to these people should be to figure out what they care about. Start with that. Talking to somebody that says, I support yada, yada, yada. Ask broadly why, because that will be the most honest answer you get. If you ask about a specific policy, you're going to get lost in a conversation that will not matter them. You understand? It won't matter to them. You say, why do you support the barbed wire in the rivers in the Rio Grande? Why do you support that? Why do you support X, Y, and Z immigration policy? They will say a made-up thing. They will regurgitate for you the latest conspiracy psychopathy. I don't know what the word is. The latest ranting from Fox News. And they won't even believe the thing they're saying. And they will argue back and forth with you about it until you get tired and move on. Or you get frustrated and move on. Point is, find out broadly why they support a thing. Then, once you know that, find out what you have in your plans for the future that supports it better. Then you ask for details. You ask for the proof. Your candidate is going to put more money in your wallet. They're gonna make life less expensive for you. How? What did they say they're gonna do? Has that been shown to work? Do you think that it's going to be tax breaks for the rich? Do you think your boss is a generous person? Do you think the owner of your company is more likely to give themselves that money or you that money? These are the things to ask. And if you don't have an answer, in your policy proposals for how you're going to make their life better, they've done something very useful for you. They've shown you something you need to address in your own policy that you support. I've just seen supers come up. fan funding tab going crazy. Y'all, I'm going to read it. Well, Pinkerbell, member for 6 months. Yes, indeed. It's been a pleasure every minute of it. By the way, my friend, I love these. Thank you so much. I showed them off at the beginning of the stream. They just made my whole day. Rex Trek with the very kind $5. Thank you, my friend. Blame Merrick Garland. He should have been on this 1/7/21 period. It's getting a big old heart. Yes, he should have. He depended on the Jan 6th committee to come up with a lot of info before he moved. Yes. In fact, he did exactly, we found out later, that he did exactly what I predicted at the time he was doing, which is actively cover up for Trump. The first impression I ever did was, on this channel, was of Merrick Garland. I will do that impression for you now. That's Merrick Garland a little bit. He did a classic cover-up. In fact, I haven't gone over this in a while. Here's what true government cover-ups look like in the United States. They're not as interesting as in the movies. Nobody gets like, there's no, none of that. None of that. It's so much more boring. It's so much more boring. Here's what they do. They go out in front of a podium and they say, we're taking this very seriously, and I will uphold the letter of the law regardless of who broke it. I don't care how rich they are. I don't care that I'm going to go party on their yacht this weekend. I don't care that it would make the dinner parties awkward. I'm going to uphold the letter of the law. And they come out 6 months later and say, this is a very serious investigation, and if you want it taken seriously, you'll quit asking us to rush it. This isn't something you rush. You take these things seriously, and shame on you. Shame on you, you ignorant slut, for daring to say we should hurry this thing. I know the statute of limitations expires next week. I'm aware of the statute of limitations. We have a team working around the clock, and then in 8 days from that press conference, they say, listen, I just want to tell you, we investigated it, and there's nothing, we don't have quite enough evidence to press charges. But, we're going to look at that Matt Gaetz fellow for sure. And in a year, we're going to tell you there's not quite enough evidence to press charges. In other words, they wait for you to get bored. That's what they do. They come out and they say they're working on it. Then you get bored. Forget to check in about it. You Google it one day to find out whatever happened. You find out they quietly dropped the charges. They dropped the case. That is a genuine U.S. government cover-up. That is how it happens. Boredom. They rely on boredom. No death. That's interesting. Counterproductive. No vast conspiracy. Just rich people not wanting to bother other rich people. That's the apple cart they don't want to accept. Upset, excuse me. Wireless Mike. I doubt he'll get elected. Talking to Sandy, I doubt he'll get elected. But this is hell, after all, so who knows? Mike, I'm so glad I'm not the only one that says, oh, since this is hell, I'm sure you've made me very happy. Pinkerbell, correctly calling the Dwight you ignorant slut line. It's amongst the funniest things I've ever heard. It's in my head usually. Environmental Coffee House. If that Jacob freak can get elected, then I think our country is beyond redemption. What Jacob freak? I am ignorant of this, as I am with most things. I don't know who you're referring to, but I would like to know because now I'm nervous. Pinkerbell, I made one for you too, Foxy. I just need to know where to send it. Ah! That's awesome. Anti-corporatus. Aside from the fact that he wasn't inaugurated until the 20th and confirmed later, but yes, Rex Track, 1,000%. Yeah, it should have been his day one priority, and the fact that it wasn't tells us everything we need to know. Whoopsie doodles. Well, I've just lost the comments. Well, if you're on Twitch, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I won't be seeing your chat. But hi. Oh, God. Jacob Chansley, QAnon shaman, says Wireless Mike. Environmental Coffee House. You have really nice teeth, by the way, Jake. Thank you. I needed braces when I was a kid, and I just shoved toothpicks in there, and I'm not sure that it did anything, but I'm delighted to find out they're not too screwy. All right. I don't know that this is uplifting news. I find it to be. I warn you that it's a serious subject matter we're going to talk about, but it's a person who was a sexual assault victim of Donald Trump's whooping his ass in court. I think that's good. Let's talk about it. E. Jean Carroll, SNL writer, amongst other things, was sexually assaulted by Donald Trump. Just about the worst thing that can happen to a human being happened to her. She soldiered on in life, and frankly, she's going to let it go. Then Donald Trump lied about it. He called her a liar. She took him to court over that, and she won. It was demonstrated in court that he did what she said he did. He was asked to stop lying about it and required to pay a fine. None of this was for the sexual assault Donald Trump did. It was for the lies he told about it. That's what the fine was for. Kept lying. And now we're back from outer space because E. Jean Carroll has got brass balls. She's not taking guff from this guy. Good. That's the kind of Americans we need. More of this, please. Don't take sass from this punk. He's back in court. Trump legal news brief. Trump takes the witness stand in E. Jean Carroll case that could cost him millions. More. Oh my God. Okay. Where does it start though? Oh, here. Oh, right up top. Former President Donald Trump takes the witness stand in the second civil defamation trial brought against him by columnist E. Jean Carroll. His lawyers join a motion by a co-defendant in the Georgia election interference case to disqualify. Oh my God, a lot of things. All right, let's just get to the key. This is the only interesting section. The key players section. Closing arguments in this are taking place tomorrow morning. Trump briefly taking the witness stand at the civil defamation trial. Thursday as the final witness for the defense in his second civil defamation trial brought by E. Jean Carroll. He was asked by his attorney if he stood by the answers he gave during the deposition in the case that he never met or assaulted Carroll. Trump responded 100% yes. Quick highlight reel of that. He said she wasn't his type. E. Jean Carroll. Then shown a picture of him standing next to her. He was asked if he could identify the woman in the picture. He said, "That's my wife, Marla Maples." They said, "Are you sure?" And he looked at it and said, "Yeah." And they said, "That's E. Jean Carroll in the picture, sir." And he looked at it and said, "Oh, well. Oh, well." Not his type. Couldn't distinguish her from his wife at the time. But not his type. He didn't marry his type, apparently. "No, I just wanted to defend myself, my family, and frankly, the presidency," Trump responded. Under cross-examination, Kaplan asked Trump whether he was aware that another trial had already been decided by a jury in Carroll's favor. Yes, Trump responded. In other words, you're aware that the things you're saying already played in front of a jury, and the jury decided that you were a liar, you gross rapist. Yes, he says. Okay. Kaplan followed up by asking whether the second Carroll civil trial was the first he had attended. Yes, Trump again replied, and Kaplan said she had no further questions. The trial will decide the damages, if any, Trump must pay to Carroll for defaming her by denying her account of being sexually assaulted by him in a department store changing room in 1996. In May, a jury found that Trump had sexually assaulted Carroll in 1996 and defamed her in 2022 and ordered him to pay a cool $5 million. In other words, if you're somebody who's living off of Russian mob bribe money, that's like $30. The second case concerns comments Trump made in 2019 while president, in which he denied ever having met or assaulting Carroll and accused her of making up the story to sell a new book. Again, I'd like to point out that there was a picture of Trump standing next to Carroll, smiling, meeting each other. Prior to taking the stand Thursday, Kaplan sought assurances from Haba that Trump wouldn't veer off topic. But Trump, who was sitting at the defense table, interrupted that conversation about whether or not he could stay on target. I don't know who the woman is. I never met this woman, he said. Again, part of the evidence submitted is a picture of them meeting. Even if he didn't know that in the first trial, even if he had somehow forgotten about it, okay, all right, I guess it's conceivable. He's since seen a picture of himself meeting her, sitting at the defense table in this trial, after there was that big embarrassing thing where he thought it was a picture of his wife, but instead it was the picture of a woman that he said wasn't his type. That picture of him meeting her that he's seen recently, within the last 365 days, he interrupts to lie in court and say he never met her. He has met her. Kaplan then rebuked him. I'm sorry, Mr. Trump, but you're interrupting. Don't apologize to him. I doubt you should even call him, frankly, Mr. Has he earned an adult's title? But all right, it's Mr. Trump, you're interrupting. No, I'm sorry. This is not someone who receives respect. Trump, you're interrupting these proceedings by talking loudly while your attorney is talking, and that is not permitted. You clown. As Trump left the courtroom, he was heard complaining, this is not America. Not America. This is not America. Yeah, to him, America is a place where he gets whatever he wants whenever he wants it, and you and me shut up and suffer. Closing arguments in the case will take place Friday morning. Why it matters, Trump is being sued by Carroll for $10 million. Do I hear 20? In compensatory damages and an unspecified amount, potentially many millions more in punitive damages. Rack it up. Hurt him. He doesn't respond to words. He responds to pain. Hurt him. Kaplan has instructed the jury that Trump has already been found to have sexually assaulted Carroll. In other words, the judge said, we're not having a debate over whether or not he forced himself on this woman. He sexually assaulted this woman. We know that's the facts, gang. That happened. We're not here to decide that. We're here to decide if this guy who just lied about the fact that he met her, again, photographic evidence, he's seen it. We're here to decide if he lied again. I'm the social media company. Paid lots and lots of money. Bye. so he could broadcast his lies. He did. Gang, I gotta be frank with you. I'm starting to think Donald Trump might not be a good person. Yeah, I'm just tailing it up. I got my abacus over here, and he might not be a nice guy. I don't think he is. I don't think he has people's best interests in mind. Just a thought. I had a blast hanging out with you today, and I'm going to read comments, actually. Whoopsie daisy. Sticks, Dragon, Karen. I was once assured that I was not connected to the mob. That was less believable as a child than Trump's lies. I have a very Sicilian family. Oh. The anti-corporatist. Any of you ever see the Scrabble cheat program? I downloaded it after it became clear that this person was using it on me, and yeah, it's wild. I have seen a 296-point word. Oh my god, I want a John Henry versus the machine that. You and me, baby. Let's play a game of Scrabble. You use the machine, and I'll use my 2-syllable vocabulary, and it'll be hilarious. Wicked Foxy Dragon. I mean, if Trump said he had met her, it would mean he didn't. Yeah. If Trump were to stand up and say, "Okay, fine, I sexually assaulted her," then I would, for the first time ever, have doubts about whether or not that happened. The anti-corporatist, and honestly, he doesn't give a fig. He just gets more and more money from his supporters. Jail time is all he fears, if even that. True. Good to see you, Dominico. Wait, Wicked Fox Drain. Oh my god, I train AI for a living. Oh, and I never thought I'd thought to use it for Scrabble. Yeah. And then AC clarifying it's hooked up to the Scrabble dictionary. Lordy. Oh my gosh, Pinkerbell, very good point. Sit down and shut up is something he's never been made to do before now. Yes. Isn't that a lovely thought? For the first time in his life, he actually has been made to obey the rules. He had no choice. And what was his response? Storming out of the courtroom saying, "This isn't America." Correct. It's not the America you grew up in. It's our America. You're going to find, Mr. Trump, that your behavior is no longer welcome here. Not in our America. Good job, gang. Let's keep it going. Nick Sabia, good to see you. It needs to be a billion for him to shut his mouth. I agree. Keep it going. I think he's earned that. Ladies and gentlemen, I had a blast hanging out with you tonight. We are slowly returning to the normal format. Hopefully, I'll get better at streaming to multiple locations. And to play us out, Mr. Donald James X.